What's up, Freebirds? Welcome back to another episode of Bourbon and Bikes, and we are taking a deeper dive of the new 2022 Sportster S, and that starts right now. So the bourbon we are drinking with this Sportster S, I've paired that with Maker's Mark in particular. This is a classic bourbon out of Kentucky. I prefer my bourbon neat, but this is great to have. You never had before. It's a pretty common bourbon out there. You can pretty much find it anywhere. Great to have in an old fashioned or on the rocks. All right, a little overview of the original Sportster before we get into the brand new Sportster S. Now, the original Sportster was introduced in 1957, closely to the same year this Maker's Mark, which is 1957, and all the way up until 1985, the Sportster had an iron head or iron motor that's been relatively the same throughout those years. Now, in 1986, they switched to an Evolution motor and went to a ridge-mounted frame. In that ridge-mounted frame, they pretty much kept the same horsepower for the most part, all the way up until 2004, which it went from a ridge-mounted frame to a rubber-mounted frame. Gave a couple more pounds to the body, a little less vibration. Now, of course, up until 2021, not 2022, they have now got rid of everything, and that's what brought us to the current day of the Sportster S and the new body style. This is going to be quite a big change. We're taking an old sip for our old Sportster there and dive into the future. Harley has packed this new Sportster S. Whether it be good or bad in your opinion, everything frame up is brand new. It's not like the past where they've added on a couple things. This is brand new. Let's start off with what the public has been asking for, and that is power. Brand new motor. This Revolution motor is the correct name for it, is now pumping a packing 120 pounds of horsepower and 95 pounds of torque. Compared to the old Evolution motor, where, like I said earlier, giving nearly double of what the old one used to be. This motor is obviously completely different from the M8 that was introduced in 2017. This is fully liquid cool, where on the M8s, the heads are liquid cool. Not completely new to the Harley world. The V-Rods had them back in the day, but that's a different Bourbon and Bikes episode in itself. Next up would be the chassis, and not only was the old Sportster underpowered, it was also very heavy and clunky the way that it rolled down the road. Now, in the new chassis, doesn't seem that you have to worry about that too much. You are given now a monoshock frame. The motor itself is actually part of the frame, which is the industry standard for most motorcycles on the road today or dirt bikes, and as well as a low center of gravity, giving the entire new body a nice ridge-mounted frame, as well as shaving off a bunch of pounds. The old frame was probably right around 600 pounds. The new one is at 502 pounds, putting it more in the ballpark of what the actual other bikes in its competition would be. Point 3 of improvement, instrumentation. Now, this has always been a very weak spot for Harley, especially in their Sportster line. There wasn't really much of anything. Maybe digital gauges at all, some kind of improvement for instrumentation. Their top end, of course, always got all of the premium technology, but on the lower end, not so much love. I think that one of the great improvements they did that they put out there, that they actually stated that they put USB ports on the Sportsters, which was advanced for them. That's okay, you know, they went ahead and scrapped the entire thing and said, we are going to give you everything you've asked for on I believe, a 4-inch screen, which is Bluetooth, navigation, you have the RPMs, everything, and speedometer all into one, much like the Indians that you see. That's what it looks like. It's a pod up right up on top. It gives you essentially everything that you need so you don't have to use your phone anymore as addition to your bike. Now, that used to be only reserved on the CVO lines. Now, thankfully, the Sportsters have been granted access to that, which is pretty cool. Last point, that they improved rider technology. This is a big one, a lot of acronyms. Let me take a drink for this. Start off with the basics that they improved, which is rider comfort as far as your different styles of riding that you can choose from. They are now allowing you to do sport, rain, and road. Brand new option for the Sportster S. Now, along with that, they also gave a new system, which I believe didn't come on the CVOs. It is called a CABS, which is Cornering Enhanced Anti-Locking Braking System. I had to write that down because there's no way I was gonna remember that. That means that you can downshift as fast as you want if you come up to it, and you won't go into a tire skid or tire lock-off engine braking, essentially is what it is. So if you're going to a corner, you shift down real bad and you pop your clutch, your rear tire will lock itself up because it's in a lower gear, and it will somehow allow your tire to still free flow without locking up, so you can downshift as you need and still be safe. Pretty neat that they added that to the Sportster. I don't know if the CVO in this same year or the previous year had that, but really cool system, I think, for especially with new riders that don't know how to correctly engine brake into corners or when things happen. The other technology I know is on the other CVOs, which is the CTCS, which is the corner enhanced traction control, which allows for brake pressure based on the lean angle when braking into a curve. I don't know the full technology. There's actually a lot of videos on this particular technology that Harley created. It's with going into the corners and braking and keeping the bike on the same path that you're going by helping you brake into corner. That rider technology, all that packed into the Sportster, I think is fantastic. I think that's an awesome move on Harley to bring some of the members only CVO technology. Now, how does the 2022 Sportster S match up to the competition? Well, I don't believe it matches up to what a lot of the crowd is saying, which is the Indian Scout and the Triumph Bonneville. In the previous models, I completely agree that those two would be right up there. Dual rear end and the conventional front end, priced to match the rest of them, I think it would be right there for it. The new Sportster S, as far as what it shows, is in a new class and is bridged away from itself from there. I think the new Sportster S matches and actually falls in between these two models, which is the Ducati Diavel and the Indian FTR. If I said Ducati Diavel wrong, those two I believe it falls right down into. On one hand, the Ducati comes in at a weight of 487 pounds with a horsepower of 162 and 9,500 RPMs, in which the actual Sportster S now has a limit of 9,500 RPMs at the 120 horsepower. Now there's a 40 horsepower difference, but still it is making its way up there. But they both run on the same pound of torque, which is 95 on each. And lastly, the Ducati comes in at 20,000. Sportster S is around its $15,000 price point. Now, on the other spectrum of this, you as well have the Indian FTR. It does come very close, more than the Scout. The FTR has a weight range of 520 pounds, a horsepower of 120, so it's right on point with the horsepower, torque of 87 pounds, and a price of $13,000. It starts at $13,000, I believe it goes all the way up to 15, possibly 17, depending on what model you go with. It puts more of what Harley's trying to do into retrospect of the overall picture. Now they are trying to take this Sportster S and putting their double down in their premium factor. They, in the past, tried to go somewhat cheap to try to enter into some markets like the Street 500 and the Street 750, which obviously has failed overseas and as well in America here. So the reason why I'm thinking that they're going towards this way is because if you look at the Pan America, they are going towards BMW for their adventure bike. They are trying to be the premium brand when someone looks at a Ducati. Do I think it's the right path that Harley is truly going with that? I think they are now justifying what $15,000 can give you. Previously, a $13,000 bike would give you is a Harley name, a Harley look. You're getting everything that someone would tell you you could go to a different brand with. You are now getting that with Harley in a full package, trying to make their name again a premium brand when you go and look for a motorcycle. That wraps up for me on this one. So if you made it all the way through, I would greatly appreciate if you could hit that subscribe button, tap that like, press that notification, leave a comment below and tell me what you think. For those that have already subscribed, thank you, and as always, stay free, and I'll catch you guys later.